picked up the wrong kid from daycare and became his stepmom. I was running late. Again. Traffic had been a nightmare. My meeting ran over, and now I was sprinting into Little Learner's daycare at 5:43 p.m., 17 minutes past their official pickup time. They charged $1 per minute after 5:30. I'd already racked up $17 in late fees before I even made it through the door. My sister was going to kill me. She'd asked me to pick up her son Noah exactly once because she had a doctor's appointment, and I was already proving why she never asked me to do favors. The front desk was empty when I rushed in. I could hear kids playing in the back room, the sound of toys clattering and children laughing. I didn't see any staff members in the main area, so I headed toward the noise. That's when I saw him. A little boy with dark curly hair, probably around 4 years old, sitting by himself near the cubbies. He had a blue backpack with dinosaurs on it next to him. He looked up when I walked in and his face lit up. Before I could say anything, he ran over and grabbed my hand. "Can we go now? I've been waiting forever." I looked down at him. He had Noah's same dark hair, similar features. My sister had told me Noah would be wearing his dinosaur backpack today. This had to be him, right? Except something felt slightly off. I couldn't quite place what it was. "You're Noah?" I asked. He nodded enthusiastically. "Let's go. I'm hungry." A woman's voice called from the back room. "Is someone here for pickup?" "Yes," I called back. "I'm here for Noah. Sign him out at the front desk, please." I walked the boy to the front desk where a clipboard sat with a sign-out sheet. I found Noah's name on the list and scribbled my signature next to it. The boy was already pulling me toward the door, chattering about how he wanted chicken nuggets for dinner. We made it to my car, and I buckled him into the back seat. He seemed smaller than I remembered from the last time I'd seen my nephew 3 months ago. But kids grow at weird rates. Maybe he'd had a growth spurt that made him look different. Or maybe I just wasn't around kids enough to remember what a 4-year-old looked like. "What do you want to do when we get to Aunt Lisa's house?" I asked, pulling out of the parking lot. He looked confused. "Who's Aunt Lisa?" I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "Your Aunt Lisa, your mom's sister. That's where we're going. My mom's at work. She picks me up at 6, usually." My stomach dropped. "What's your mom's name?" "Stephanie." My sister's name was Jennifer. "And what's your dad's name?" "Ian. But he's on a trip. He'll be back on Friday." I pulled over into a parking lot so fast the kid lurched forward in his seatbelt. I turned around to look at him properly. He wasn't Noah. He looked similar, same coloring and rough age, but he definitely wasn't my nephew. "What's your name?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "I told you. I'm Noah." "Noah what? What's your last name?" "Hartley." My nephew's last name was Sullivan. I'd picked up the wrong kid. I'd signed out the wrong Noah from daycare and driven away with someone else's child. My hands started shaking. "Okay, Noah Hartley. We need to go back to the daycare right now." "Why?" "I thought we were going home." "We are. But first we need to go back because I made a mistake." I turned the car around and drove back to Little Learners, my mind racing through everything I'd just done. I'd taken a child that wasn't mine. I'd signed him out. I'd put him in my car and driven away. This was kidnapping. Accidental kidnapping. But still, kidnapping. When I pulled back into the daycare parking lot 8 minutes later, there were 2 police cars parked out front. My blood turned to ice. I parked and got out, walking around to unbuckle Noah Hartley. He seemed completely unbothered by the whole situation. "Are we going home now?" he asked. "In a minute, buddy." I held his hand and walked him toward the daycare entrance. A police officer met me at the door. "Ma'am, do you have a child in this facility?" Yes, number. I picked up the wrong one." I gestured to Noah. "This is Noah Hartley. I was supposed to pick up Noah Sullivan." The officer's expression shifted from suspicious to confused. "You took the wrong child?" "I didn't realize until we were already driving." I came right back. Another officer appeared, followed by a woman I assumed was the daycare director. She looked frantic. "Oh, thank God, there he is." "Noah, are you okay?" "I'm fine," Noah said, seemingly confused by all the fuss. "We were going to get chicken nuggets." A man came running out of the daycare then, his face pale and panicked. He was tall, maybe early 30s, wearing a suit that looked hastily thrown on. His tie was loose and his hair was a mess. The moment he saw Noah, he dropped to his knees and pulled the boy into a crushing hug. "Noah! Oh my God, Noah!" He was shaking. "Dad, you're squishing me." The man pulled back and looked Noah over, checking him for injuries or signs of distress. When he was satisfied the boy was fine, he stood up and turned to me. His expression changed from relief to fury in about half a second. "You took my son. I'm so sorry, I thought he was my nephew. They're both named Noah and he had the same backpack and I was running late and I didn't look carefully enough. You took my son out of his daycare and drove away with him." His voice was shaking with barely controlled rage. The police officer stepped between us. "Sir, I need you to calm down." "Calm down? She kidnapped my child." "It was a mistake," I said, tears starting to form. "A horrible, stupid mistake, but I brought him right back the second I realized." "A mistake?" He looked at me like I was insane. "You don't accidentally take someone else's kid. I was supposed to pick up my nephew, Noah Sullivan. Your son is also Noah. He has the same coloring, similar features, and when I asked if he was Noah, he said yes. Because he is Noah. That's his name." The officer held up his hand. "Everyone, let's go inside and sort this out." We moved into the daycare director's office. Noah Hartley sat on his father's lap, completely oblivious to the chaos he'd caused. My nephew Noah, the actual Noah I was supposed to pick up, was sitting in the corner with one of the daycare workers. He waved at me. I'd been so focused on the wrong kid I hadn't even seen him. The police took statements from everyone. The The daycare director explained that I'd come in, asked for Noah, and signed him out. She'd assumed I was on the approved pickup list and hadn't checked. The father, whose name I learned was Ian Hartley, explained that he'd gotten stuck in a meeting and called the daycare to say he'd be 15 minutes late. When he arrived and Noah wasn't there, they'd checked the sign-out sheet and saw an unfamiliar signature. That's when they'd called the police. I explained the whole thing again. How my sister had asked me to pick up Noah Sullivan. How I was running late and rushed in. How I saw a boy who looked right and had the same name and the same backpack, and I just didn't question it. "Why didn't you check his face properly?" Ian demanded. "Why didn't you make sure it was the right child?" I thought it was. "I'm sorry. I know sorry doesn't fix this, but I genuinely thought he was my nephew." The officer looked at the sign-out sheet. "How did you know to sign out Noah Hartley instead of Noah Sullivan?" I didn't look at last names. I just saw Noah on the list and signed next to it. "So this was a clerical error combined with a case of mistaken identity," the officer said. He looked at Ian. "Sir, I understand you're upset, but there's no evidence of malicious intent here. She took my son. I brought him back," I said quietly. The second I realized, I turned around and came right back. I would never intentionally take someone's child. Ian stared at me for a long moment. I could see him trying to control his breathing, trying to calm down. Finally, he said, "I want her banned from this daycare. I want her name and photo shared with the staff so this never happens again." "That's reasonable," the director said quickly. "We'll implement better pickup procedures immediately. This should never have been possible." One of the officers took me aside. "Ma'am, Mr. Hartley has the right to press charges. Do you understand that?" I nodded. "I understand. Given the circumstances, I'm going to recommend he doesn't. But you need to be more careful. A mistake like this could have ended very differently." "I know." I gave my statement, provided my contact information, and signed some papers. My sister arrived 20 minutes later, having been called by the daycare. She took one look at me and actual Noah and pieced together what happened. "You picked up the wrong Noah." "I'm so sorry." She hugged me. "Are you okay? The other kid's dad wants to press charges. I might have accidentally kidnapped someone, but you didn't mean to. You brought him back. I still took someone's child without permission." Ian Hartley was still sitting in the director's office with his son when we left. I tried to catch his eye to apologize again, but he wouldn't look at me. I didn't blame him. I wouldn't look at me either. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. How easily I'd taken the wrong child. How I'd driven away with him. How panicked Ian must have been when he arrived and Noah was gone. How badly this could have ended if Noah Hartley had been scared, or if I'd been someone with bad intentions. My phone rang at 11 p.m. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello? This is Ian Hartley." I sat up in bed. "I'm so sorry. I know I keep saying that, but I am truly, deeply sorry for what happened today. I'm not calling for an apology." His voice was cold. "Then why are you calling?" "Because I spent the last 6 hours thinking about pressing charges, talking to lawyers, trying to figure out if you're a threat to my son. I'm not. I promise I would never hurt a child. I know that. Logically, I know that. But I'm a single father, and today someone took my son, and I couldn't do anything about it. Do you have any idea what that feels like?" "No, I can't imagine. I've decided not to press charges." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. "Thank you. But I have conditions. Anything. I want to meet with you, in person. I want to understand how this happened, and I want to make sure it never happens again." "Of course. Whatever you need. Tomorrow. Coffee shop on Main Street, 7 p.m. I'll be there." He hung up, without saying goodbye. The next evening, I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. Ian showed up right at 7, looking less disheveled than yesterday but still exhausted. We sat at a corner table away from other people. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "I didn't sleep last night," he said finally. "Neither did I. I kept thinking about all the ways yesterday could have gone worse. What if you'd been someone dangerous? What if Noah had been scared? What if you hadn't realized your mistake? I know, I've been thinking the same things." He took a sip of his coffee. "Tell me about your nephew. The real Noah. He's 4. My sister's only child. She's a single mom and she works crazy hours, so I try to help when I can. Yesterday was the first time she'd ever asked me to pick him up from daycare. And you were late. I was late. I was stressed and rushing, and I made a terrible decision not to double-check which child I was taking. Why didn't Noah say anything? My Noah, I mean. Why didn't he tell you that you weren't his usual pickup person?" I thought about it. I think he was just happy someone was there. He seemed excited to leave. He kept talking about chicken nuggets. Ian's expression softened slightly. He always wants chicken nuggets. He's a very sweet kid. He held my hand and chatted the whole time. He wasn't scared at all. That's what worries me. He trusted you completely. He got in your car without question. What if next time someone takes him and they don't bring him back? The weight of what I'd done hit me again. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what else to say. I don't want you to say anything. I want you to help me." I looked at him, confused. "Help you how?" "I want you to teach Noah about stranger danger, about not going with people he doesn't know, about checking with his teachers before leaving. You want me to talk to your son? After what I did? You're the perfect person. You're the stranger who took him. You can explain what happened and why it was dangerous. Coming from you, it might actually sink in." I didn't know what to say. This was not where I thought this conversation was going. "Are you sure? Won't that scare him?" "He should be scared, or at least cautious. Right now, he's too trusting. Yesterday proved that." "Okay, if you think it will help, I'll do it." We talked for another hour. Ian told me about Noah's mother, who'd died 2 years ago from cancer. How he'd been raising Noah alone since then, trying to be both parents. How yesterday had triggered every fear he had about something happening to his son. I told him about my sister, about my nephew Noah, about how I'd been so confident I had the right kid that I never questioned it. When we finally left the coffee shop, something had shifted. The anger was still there, but underneath it was understanding. We were both just people who'd made mistakes trying to do better. The next week, I met with Ian and Noah at a park. Ian had explained to his son that I was the lady who'd picked him up by mistake, and we were going to talk about safety. Noah didn't seem bothered by any of it. He was more interested in the playground. "Noah, can we talk for a minute?" I asked, sitting on a bench while Ian stood nearby. "Okay." He climbed up next to me. "Do you remember when I picked you up from daycare last week?" "Yeah. We were going to get chicken nuggets, but then we went back." "Right. Do you know why we went back?" He shook his head. "Because I made a mistake. I wasn't supposed to pick you up. I was supposed to pick up a different boy named Noah." His eyes went wide. "There's another Noah?" "There is. And because you're both named Noah and you both had dinosaur backpacks, I got confused." "Oh, but here's the thing. Even though I made a mistake, you did something that wasn't safe." "What did I do?" "You left with someone you didn't know. You got in my car without checking with your teachers first. But you said you were there to pick me up." "I did. But grown-ups sometimes say things that aren't true. And kids should always check with their teachers or their dad before leaving with someone, even if that person seems nice." Noah thought about this. "Even if they say my dad sent them, especially then, your dad will always tell your teachers who's picking you up. If someone you don't know comes to get you, you should ask a teacher first. Okay?" "Okay. And if someone you don't know tries to take you somewhere, what should you do? Run away?" "Run away and scream for help." "Can you do that?" "I can scream really loud. Want to hear?" "Maybe not right now." Ian came over and sat down with us. "Did that make sense, buddy?" "Yeah. I shouldn't go with strangers, even if they seem nice." "Exactly." Noah hopped off the bench and ran toward the swings. Ian and I watched him play. "Thank you for doing that," Ian said. "Of course. It's the least I could do. He likes you." He asked if you were going to be his new teacher. I laughed. Definitely not qualified for that. Still, he doesn't warm up to new people easily. Not since his mom died. "I'm sorry about your wife." "Thank you." He paused. "She would have handled yesterday better than I did. She was always calm in a crisis. I just panicked." "You had every right to panic. Maybe. But I also could have handled it better. I was pretty harsh with you. I kidnapped your kid. You were allowed to be harsh." He smiled slightly. "Accidentally kidnapped. Still kidnapped." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching Noah swing higher and higher. "Can I ask you something?" Ian said. "Sure. Why didn't you have kids of your own? You're clearly good with them." "Never found the right person to have them with. And then I got focused on my career and now I'm 32 and single and it feels too late." "It's not too late. Maybe." I looked at him. "What about you? Do you think you'll date again? Eventually. Maybe. Right now I'm just focused on Noah, making sure he's okay, that he's adjusting, that he's happy. He seems happy. He is, most of the time. But he still asks for his mom sometimes and I never know what to say." I didn't have an answer for that, so I just sat with him while we watched his son play. Over the next few weeks, Ian and I met up a few more times. Always with Noah, always in public places. The meetings started as safety lessons but evolved into something else. Friendship, maybe. Or at least understanding. Noah started asking when I was coming to visit again. Ian started texting me updates about his day. Small things like photos of Noah's drawings or stories about daycare drama. I found myself looking forward to those texts. One evening, Ian called instead of texted. "Hey, weird question, do you want to come to dinner? Noah's been asking about you and I thought maybe we could all hang out. Casually. Like a play date? Like dinner. At my place. I'm making spaghetti and Noah insists you have to be there to try it. I don't want to intrude on your evening." "You're not intruding. You're invited. There's a difference." I showed up at their house at 6 with a bottle of wine and a pack of cookies for Noah. Their home was small but comfortable, filled with toys and photos. Pictures of Noah's mother were everywhere. She'd been beautiful, with a bright smile and kind eyes. Noah gave me a tour of his room, showing me his toy collection and his favorite books. Ian cooked while we played, occasionally checking in to make sure Noah wasn't being too overwhelming. Dinner was chaotic and perfect. Noah spilled his juice twice, insisted on telling me a story that made absolutely no sense, and declared my cookies the best thing he'd ever eaten. Ian looked relaxed in a way I hadn't seen before, laughing at his son's antics and making sure everyone had enough food. After Noah went to bed, Ian and I sat on the couch with glasses of wine. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Tonight was really nice." "Thank you for inviting me. I had fun. Noah adores you. He talks about you constantly. He's a great kid. You're doing an amazing job with him." "I'm trying. Some days are harder than others. I can't imagine doing it alone. You get used to it, but it's nice to have another adult around. Someone who understands." We talked until almost midnight about everything and nothing. His job in finance, my work in marketing, our families, our hopes for the future. When I finally left, he walked me to my car. "Can we do this again?" He asked. "Dinner?" "Yeah. Or maybe something else. A movie, coffee, whatever you want." "Are you asking me on a date?" "Maybe. Is that weird, given how we met?" "It's extremely weird. But I'd like that." He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Good. I'll text you." Over the next few months, we fell into a rhythm. dinners at his place, lunches on weekends, trips to the park with Noah. We were dating, though neither of us said it explicitly. It felt too complicated to label. How do you explain to people that you're dating the man whose child you accidentally kidnapped? But it worked. Noah loved having me around. Ian seemed happier, lighter, and I found myself falling for both of them in ways I hadn't expected. 6 months after the daycare incident, Ian asked me to move in. We were sitting on his couch after putting Noah to bed when he said it. I know it's fast. I know we have a weird history, but I love you. Noah loves you, and I want you here, all the time, not just on weekends. Ian, you don't have to answer now. Think about it. Take your time. I don't need time. Yes. Yes? Yes, I'll move in. I love you too, both of you. He kissed me then, soft and gentle and full of promise. Moving in was an adjustment. Noah had to get used to me being there all the time. I had to learn Ian's routines and quirks. We had to figure out boundaries and responsibilities and how to be a family, but we made it work. 1 year after the daycare incident, Ian proposed. We were at the same park where I'd first talked to Noah about stranger danger. Noah helped him set up a picnic, complete with chicken nuggets in honor of that first day. I know this is crazy, Ian said down on one knee. We met because you accidentally took my son, but that mistake brought you into our lives, and I can't imagine them without you now. Will you marry me? Yes, absolutely yes. Noah cheered and ran over to hug both of us. Does this mean you're going to be my mom? If you want me to be. I want you to be. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, close friends and family, and Noah as the ring bearer. During the ceremony, the officiant told our story. About the daycare mix-up, the wrong Noah, the accidental meeting that became something more. Everyone laughed when they were supposed to and cried when they were supposed to. At the reception, my sister gave a speech. When I asked my sister to pick up my son from daycare, I never imagined it would lead to this. She picked up the wrong kid and found her family. I'd say that's a pretty good trade. Ian's best friend spoke next. I've known Ian for 15 years. After his wife died, I didn't think he'd ever let anyone in again. But somehow, this woman who accidentally kidnapped his son became the person who saved him. Life is weird like that. When it was my turn to speak, I looked at Noah sitting at the kids' table and Ian standing beside me. I picked up the wrong kid from daycare, I said. It was the worst mistake I've ever made, and the best thing that ever happened to me. I was so focused on being on time, on doing my sister a favor, on not messing up, that I didn't slow down enough to see what was right in front of me. But sometimes the wrong choice leads you to the right place. I looked at Ian. You could have pressed charges. You could have never spoken to me again. Instead, you gave me a chance. You let me into your life and your son's life, and you changed everything for me. I spent my whole life looking for my person. Turns out he was waiting at a daycare, terrified because a stranger had taken his son. Not the romantic story I imagined, but it's ours. Ian pulled me close and kissed me while everyone applauded. Noah ran up and hugged our legs, and we stood there as a family, in the middle of our reception, surrounded by everyone we loved. Later that night, after the reception ended and Noah was asleep at my sister's house, Ian and I sat on the hotel balcony. Do you think we'll ever stop being the couple who met at a daycare kidnapping? I asked. Probably not, but I don't mind. People are going to ask Noah how we met, and he's going to have the weirdest story. He'll love it. Kids love weird stories. I leaned against Ian's shoulder. I still can't believe this happened, that I picked up the wrong kid and it led to this. Best wrong choice ever made. For you. I gave your son a stranger danger talk, and now you're his stepmom. He upgraded. I laughed. From accidental kidnapper to stepmom. Quite a journey. The best journeys usually are. We sat there watching the city lights, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. A rushed pickup, a simple mistake, a wrong name on a sign-out sheet. All the tiny choices that had brought us together. 5 years later, we had another child. A daughter we named Grace. Noah, now 9, took his big brother responsibilities very seriously. He helped with bottles and diapers and made sure to tell Grace daily that she was loved. One afternoon, Noah came home from school with a writing assignment. We had to write about how our parents met, he said. What did you write? Ian asked. Noah pulled out his paper and read aloud. My mom and dad met at my daycare. My mom picked up the wrong kid. That kid was me. My dad was mad, but then he wasn't. They fell in love and got married, and now my mom is really my mom and we have a baby sister. The end. Ian and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. That's the whole story? I asked. The teacher said to keep it simple. Well, you definitely did that. Is it true, though? Noah asked. Did you really pick up the wrong kid? I did. And that was me? That was you. He thought about this. I'm glad you made a mistake. Me too, buddy. Me too. Years passed. Noah grew up. Grace started school. Ian and I built a life together that was messy and chaotic and perfect. People still asked how we met. We still told the story about the daycare mix-up. And every time we watched people's faces shift from confusion to disbelief to laughter to understanding. Because yes, we met because I picked up the wrong kid. But I kept him and his dad and built a family from a mistake. Not a bad trade at all. Appreciate you watching this far. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you won't miss the next story.